Now the backdrop is Netflix. To those of you who are in the US, you know Netflix very well. It started its DVD rental business a while back, actually in 1997. So the story says that the founder of Netflix was tired of paying fees to the DVD rental stores. If you remember those days, there were a lot of those on the street corners. And if you don't return the DVD in time, or the VCD in time, or the tape in time, then you pay extra fees. He says, well, that's not very appealing to me. So instead, he says, you can keep the DVDs for as long as you want. Okay. As long as you keep paying the monthly fee, then that's actually a great thing for the company. You don't return, I don't send you new ones. Okay, so you can keep paying my monthly fee without getting any new DVD. This idea is going to show up again in a completely different context of sliding window control in TCP, congestion control. That will be in lecture 14. But it's effectively the same concept. You don't return, I don't give you more. And by 2008, in the US, there were about 9 million users of Netflix DVD rental. And then, that year or so, Netflix started trying out something quite new of using the internet to deliver video. Internet as the medium instead of the postal service to deliver video. So the content is stored in some video servers, is sent through the internet and maybe wireless networks to your internet connected devices, which could be TVs or set-top boxes, but also could be game consoles, smartphones, tablets, PCs, and so on. And by 2011 spring, it's got 23 million customers. And in summer of 2011, it was counted that about 1 in every 4, a quarter of the bits going through the internet that month was Netflix traffic. That was huge. Okay. Now, of course, video is a very big files, and therefore, if you count by volume, you're going to get big numbers of percentage. But still, 1 in 4, that's a lot. And then in September 2011, you may remember that Netflix tried to split into two different businesses, separating DVD rental, online streaming, and then they later put them back together, but the billing still became separate. Now later we will look at the technology network involved for multimedia streaming over the internet in lecture, I think, 17. We look at Netflix and Amazon Prime, Hulu, HBO Go, IPTV, and so on. Look at the differences across the models. Today, this lecture 4, the focus is, however, on the social network dimension of recommendation system. Okay. You and I, the customers of Netflix, also form a network. These 23 million and bigger number now, they form a social network. They don't directly interact, but the way that they watch and rate movies will be used and leveraged by Netflix to make better individualized recommendation. Think about it this way. You are on open online platform, okay, whatever that platform might be, and there are maybe 100,000 of you. By scaling up a social network, we actually can then scale down the individualized recommendation, because we get to see other like-minded people like you, how they behave, what they like and don't like, and we have much more data. So even if you don't provide a huge amount of activity on the platform, we get to see others. And this is the basic idea of collaborative filtering, CF. Now there are many kinds of recommendation system. For example, on Amazon, you may notice that each time you refresh the homepage after you log in, they will recommend different kind of products to you. That's largely based on what's called content-based filtering. Okay. Basically, if you purchase certain kind of products before, like certain kind of electronics, then they will recommend similar electronics to you in the future. If you buy a book written by Stephen Hawking, then they will try to recommend new books by Stephen Hawking. That is called content-based filtering. Okay? Look at what you bought, what you liked, and then recommend accordingly. YouTube, we will see later in a few lectures time, the way they make recommendations is largely driven by the so-called co-visitation counts. Briefly speaking, it means that it will look at how many users watch these two videos back to back. Okay? And then if so, then we put a score to the co-visitation count between these two videos, say A and B. Okay? And then this will give you a way to start quantitatively decide what video should you recommend. We'll come back to this later. In Pandora, if you have used that, it is a mostly expert-driven recommendation of mix of music. But as a consumer, you get to thumb up or thumb down, just like in some discussion forums, you get to vote up or down. Now, Netflix does not want to use expert-driven movie review, even though there's no shortage of movie reviewers, professional ones out there. It instead uses a collaborative filtering. The idea is that not only will it look at what you like or bought, we'll also look at what similar people, similar to you, liked and watched. The question is, how do we define similarity between people? Or flip the other way around, between movies.